Well, would you be interested in a short, powerful book that helps you win the battle over stress, anxiety, and fear? Well, you're probably thinking, yes, sign me up. I know that's what I'm thinking. And that's exactly what we're doing today. We are here with a free book giveaway here on our podcast.
Well, the book is called The Garden, and we are thrilled to be joined by its author, Jon Gordon. Jon is a best-selling author, consultant, keynote speaker, known for his focus on positivity and leadership and teamwork, all through a faith-centered lens. He's written more than 30 books, including 18 bestsellers. And when he's not with us, Jon works with organizations, like the Los Angeles Dodgers and In-N-Out Burger and Campbell's Soup and Dell and Southwest Airlines and West Point Academy, just to name a few. Hey, Jon, thank you so much for the impact that you're making, and welcome to our podcast.
It's an honor to join you both. Thanks for having me.
Jon, okay, I'm going to kick things off with the first question. The Garden, that's the book we're giving away here. What inspired you to write it, and why did you choose to tell this message through a story rather than a traditional help book?
Here's what's wild. In 2019, towards the end of the year, I had just finished writing a book. I usually write a book in about 3.5 weeks. God inspired, I just get these downloads and I write the book. Well, I got done with this other book and I was thinking about this book, and I was going to call it Identity because it's all about the attack on our identity. And while I'm sitting there, boom, I had a vision of the garden. I had a vision of this concept for a book that was more of a fable rather than a how-to, that would actually tell the story of two teenagers struggling with fear, stress, and anxiety, and a neighbor who put a garden in his backyard to symbolize and to look like the Garden of Eden, where you had the garden of, obviously you had the tree of knowledge and the tree of good and evil. And so the knowledge of good and evil, and then the other tree, the tree of life. And so I just had this vision for it and this idea for it. And that made me just start writing it. And I wrote it literally in a few weeks and finished it like within the first few weeks of January, not knowing that in 2019, what was coming was the pandemic, when so many people would be struggling with fear and stress and anxiety. And this book literally came out in March during the pandemic, when people needed this message the most. And it's a fable. Obviously, there is a Christian theme to this book. I even wrote in the beginning, because I'm mostly known as a business author, and I wrote, warning, this is not like my other books. This is a spiritual message. This is about winning the battle of our mind. This is about helping kids win the battle between fear and anxiety and stress, and how to fuel their life with love and joy and power and peace and courage and confidence. And every day we have that choice of what we're going to tune into every day. So I actually put that in the warning. My only book to become number one on the Wall Street Journal bestseller list was this book. It's
Wow.
it's not a business book, but it hit the Wall Street Journal bestseller list. So it shows you how God has a great sense of humor. Wanted this book obviously out there. And I told the story because I thought, one, I had the vision on it, and two, now I see why people could really connect to the characters, and you learn through the story.
Yeah, I love the meant to be aspect of that. That's really, really cool. All right, we don't want to give too much away because we're giving the book away, but in the book you talk about overcoming what you call the 5 Ds. So for someone hearing that for the first time, what are the 5 Ds and how do they show up in people's lives all the time?
Once you understand these 5 Ds, what you'll realize is that there's a force always trying to divide us and separate us and weaken us and make us feel powerless. But there's a power of God that's always trying to unite us back to himself, to create oneness and connection. So you have to understand that the 5 Ds are the battle that we all face every day, and it's doubt. Seeds of doubt grow into a forest of uncertainty. Have you noticed that overthinking is always associated with negative thoughts? Like, we never say I have too many positive thoughts. Man, I'm just too positive today. I just have too much encouragement. I have just too much joy. No one lays in bed at night with their thoughts racing. They can't fall asleep thinking about how great life is. It's always those negative thoughts that create clutter in our mind, and that's what doubt does. Then we have distortions. That's the second D. Distortions are lies, negative thoughts, lies that will tell you things about yourself and your future that just aren't true. And we always have these lies in our head. And the lesson there is you're not the thoughts you think, you're the thoughts you believe. So don't believe those lies that are coming into your head. They're there, but you don't have to believe them. And the key is you have the power of the second thought, right? You don't have the power of the first thought. It's going to come in, but you have the power of the second thought. So that's how we overcome the distortions. And then we have discouragement. The negative thoughts, the lies, the doubt get us discouraged. And when we get discouraged, we start to feel defeated. We don't give up because it's hard. We give up because we get discouraged. And then that fourth D is distractions. Maybe it's not anything bad. Maybe it's not a negative thought. Maybe it's not fear. Maybe you just get distracted from things that are not meant for you, that things that keep you from being your best. And a distraction is anything that keeps you from your path, from your calling and what you're meant to do and be all that you're meant to be. So that's the key with distractions. And then finally, the fifth D is division or divide. All these other D's lead to a division. And remember I said that there's a force always trying to divide you and separate you and weaken you and make you feel powerless. Well, the root for the Greek word of anxious means to separate and divide. So when you're anxious, you feel separate and divided. Also, we know that when people have a mental health disorder, they report feelings of isolation, disconnection, and separation. Schizophrenia means split mind. Bipolar, two poles. When someone experiences trauma in their life, there's a neurological separation that happens in the brain. So everything comes down to connection and disconnection. And this disconnection leads to worry, fear, anxiety, doubt. And that's why Jesus is the solution to the separation. He brings us from disconnection back to connection. He restores us and he makes us whole. He creates oneness with us and our Creator, with God. And through that, we experience more wholeness, healing, and holiness. And that's what happens through the power. So the thing is, it's going to be a battle in life, but the way you win the battle is really through this relationship that you have with Jesus. And it actually enhances your mental health. It helps you overcome anxiety. And again, this is a very simple story that you learn the power of this in a very simple, loving way, that you're living from victory. You've already won the battle. So live from victory and know the battle's already been won. And this is how you overcome the 5 Ds. So I share how to overcome the 5 Ds from a very practical standpoint. We want readers to read the book. You'll learn how to overcome the battle, to win the battle with practical strategies, but the power behind the battle to win it is truly our relationship with Jesus. And I didn't realize this, by the way, until I was 35 years old. I came to faith at 35, and I was struggling with separation, disconnection, depression. And the true answer to our mental health crisis is our faith. It's the power of prayer, which leads to connection and healing, and it's a relationship to Jesus, and that is truly how you heal. And this is not a religion. It's not a religion. I wrote a book called The One Truth that came in after the garden, and I explain even more like how it all works. It's not religion. The Bible is actually a book of truth. It's actually the truth of how we actually overcome the 5 Ds and the separation and the healing that needs to take place. Because if you look at the garden, for instance, the garden is an ancient Jewish story. Think about that. It's an ancient Jewish story that had nothing to do with Jesus at the time when it was told and shared. So what was the problem in the garden? Separation. Man and woman being separated from God and each other because of those 5 Ds. And guess what happens? Jesus comes along and brings us back into oneness. So the solution to the separation is Jesus.
Jon, for someone listening right now that just feels overwhelmed and maybe isn't sure where to start, give me one truth from the garden that can help people reset and refocus and have just a little more peace today.
Okay, you're facing a lot of negativity. Those negative thoughts are coming in. Instead of listening to yourself, start talking to yourself. Speak words of life, words of encouragement to yourself. Speak words of scripture to yourself. Recite scripture. Dr. James Gills is the only person on the planet to complete 6 double Ironman triathlons. Double Ironman, which means you do an Ironman, a day later you do another one. The last time he did it, he was 59 years old. I can't even swim the length of a pool. And here he is running triathlons, double Ironmans. So he does this, and he was asked how he did it. And he said, I've learned to talk to myself instead of listen to myself. He said, if I listen, I hear all the reasons why I can't finish this race. All the worry, the doubt, the fear. But if I talk to myself, I could feed myself with the words and the encouragement I need to keep on moving forward. He would memorize and recite scripture. That's how he powered up for those races. So to me, that's a very practical thing. I teach it at all my talks. I share the story of Dr. James Gills. And you know what's so funny? My wife was talking to herself really negatively a couple of years ago, and I have permission to tell the story, by the way. And she was like, I'm getting old. My body's breaking down. She said, I'm sore all the time. I work out. It doesn't work. I try to lose weight. It doesn't work. She goes, John, I'll never be like I was when I was younger. It's pointless. I should just give up. And I said, honey, we got to stay positive. And she said, shut up, positive guy. She didn't want to hear a word I had to say. I go away to a speaking engagement. I'm gone for 2 days. I come back and she's positive, happy, lighter and freer than ever. And I'm thinking, what's going on here? I'm home. She's negative. I go away for 2 days, come back, and now she's positive. I go, did you find a boyfriend or something? And she said, no, I had that health coaching call with that company with Eve via Zoom where they look at your blood, your genes, and your DNA. They said, this is really rare. We don't see this often. They told her, you have the genes of an Olympic athlete. So now she's walking around the house. I am an Olympic athlete. I am an Olympic athlete, saying it over and over again. Do you want to play pickleball tomorrow? I'll crush you because I'm an Olympic athlete, she said to me. So here she is now meal prepping her for her workouts because she's an Olympic athlete. Within a few weeks, all of a sudden, somehow, some way, the pain goes away, the inflammation goes away, the soreness goes away, the complaining thankfully went away, and now 2 years later, she looks better than ever. Where did the change begin? Her thoughts, her words. As a woman thinks, she becomes. As a man thinks, he becomes. The thoughts you think and the words you say become the reality and the life that you live. And this is biblical. As a man thinketh, right? Your thoughts, your words are that powerful. So start speaking life to yourself every day and speak words of encouragement to overcome those negative thoughts coming in. Here's the other quick thing too. So many kids today have these negative thoughts, and so many adults too. They think something's wrong with them. They beat themselves up for the thoughts in their head. They think they're broken. They need to be fixed. The truth is, no, you don't need to be fixed. You're in the battle between positive and negative, good and evil. And we have to teach people how to win the battle. And that's why I wrote The Garden. The Garden literally will teach you how to win the battle, and it's going to give you the encouragement to do it in a very simple, powerful, fun story that will allow you to fight the battle, fight the evil with good, and win the battle.
Oh, John, that's beautiful. And what you said there about not listening to yourself, but talking or speaking to yourself, that's a Post-it note for every mirror in your house right there. That's great. Hey, we're so happy to be able to give The Garden as a gift to our podcast audience. And of course, this is just one of more than 30 books that you've written. Titles like The Power of Positive Leadership, The Carpenter, The Energy Bus, The No Complaining Rule, and The 7 Commandments of a Great Team, just to name a few. We're going to send everyone to jongordon.com, jongordon.com, to explore more of your work and resources. John, it has been a real privilege to speak to you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for the impact that you're making in our world.
Hey, thanks for all that you do. I love that you're all about positive messages too. I appreciate that. And if people go to my site, by the way, sign up for my newsletter, and we do a thing called 30 Days of Positivity. So you join us for 30 days. I guarantee you'll start to feel more positive after those 30 days of a habit, right? Positivity is a habit.
Yeah, I love it. I'm signing up.
Awesome.